Okay, today I want to start out on a more uh, somber um, vibe. If you are in the YouTube comic book space, if you've paid attention to the YouTube comic book space for, I would say, about the past 10 years, I want to say, then you know Comicstorian. Comicstorian is probably one of the foremost knowledgeable comic book YouTubers in the comic book YouTube geek space, and he passed away this past weekend. Rob from Comics Explain. I was just watching a video from him talking about it. I'm guessing it was an accident. I don't know more than that. I don't know if his family's gonna put out more than that, but I would feel wrong starting out and not mentioning that. I watch Rob from Comics Explain and Benny from Comicstorian. His videos are magnificent. If you want to watch videos that will get you engaged, tell you the stories that you want to know, and give you all the information that you need to know about certain comic books, Benny from Comicstorian was that guy. And the way he told the stories was so riveting. I don't know if anybody will ever be able to fill that gap, like that space that he was in is definitely a great loss to the comic book and YouTube space, and a great loss to his family. So my condolences to his family. Rest in peace, Comicstorian. It's almost hard to even go on and talk about comic books after that, but this is something that we all love and enjoy. I'm thankful to God that while I was growing up, I was able to pick up the comic book collecting and reading hobby. I never thought this hobby would extend well into my adult years. I was born, I'm gonna date myself, I was born in 1979. For some of you young kids out there, that's a long time ago. I started collecting comic books in, I want to say 1990. I'm pretty sure it was 1990 or 91 during the Jim Lee X-Men run, the Claremont Jim Lee X-Men run. And it was a great time. Image Comics started out shortly somewhere in that time frame. I can't remember the exact year. And there was just a lot going on. And again, this is something that is extended into adulthood. It has been very enjoyable. There's been a lot of changes and transitions in the comic book space. Some good, some not so good. Things happen. But anyway, I picked up this book right here, Ultimates #1. And I like what Marvel is doing with the Ultimates run. It seems like, now I don't know if this is what they're going to do. I think it would be a good idea if they did do this, but it seems like they're going to try to use the Ultimates to maybe reboot the Marvel comic book universe and kind of do some course correction. I don't know, maybe that's a pipe dream. Maybe they never correct anything they've done or any way where they have gone wrong. But anyway, I wanted to read some reviews of this book. I'll give you what I thought about the book. I thought it was good, solid story, good art, enjoyable read. I had fun reading through the comic book, and that's all you can ask. You can ask for. So, as I like to do, I'm going to go to Comic Book Roundup, and I'm gonna grab the best review, read that, and see what people are thinking, and then go to the worst review. I find that somewhere in between the best and the worst review is in aggregate, I believe I used that word correctly, is the proper view of the book, right? Like, so whoever says, oh, this is the greatest book I've ever read, it's probably not the greatest book that they've ever read, but it's probably really good and really enjoyable. And it probably has some shortfalls. So, anyway, we're going to get into these reviews. So I will go to this first review. I'm going to read the full review. It is from comicwatch.com, and they gave it a 10. The author is Denise Camp. I don't know exactly how you pronounce that. Uh, the artist is Juan Frigeri, and I believe when I opened the book, I thought it said someone else was the artist, but maybe I was looking at the colorist, uh, Federico Blee. It seems like there's a lot of artists from both Spain and Brazil. A lot of artists and colorists, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so I guess that was the colorist. I just read it wrong when I was looking through the book. So anyway, yep, that's the colorist, letterer, VC, Travis, Lanhan. Of course, Marvel is the publisher, and we're gonna get into what they have to say in this review. Recap: The Ultimates return to greatness, spinning out of Jonathan Hickman and Stefano Casilli's Ultimate Universe #1, or Ultimate Universe #1, Rising Stars. Dennis Camp. I gotta look up how to pronounce some of these names. Children of the Vault, 20th Century Men, and Juan Frigeri, Invincible Iron Man, assemble an all new team of Ultimates in a series that kicks off the next chapter of the new Ultimates line. 6 months ago, Tony Stark sent Peter Parker a radioactive spider to set him back on the course to become Spider-Man. Since then, Iron Lad, Stark, Captain America, Doom, Thor, and Sif have begun to do the same for other lost heroes, building a network of superpowered heroes hungry for change. Now they must band together to destroy the Maker's Council and restore freedom and free will to the world ruled from the shadows. I think this is gonna to come together in a some kind of really big battle event, which I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where that goes. So I want to see. I want to get into the conclusion to see what they conclude about the book, because obviously they gave it a 10 out of 10. So okay, final thoughts. The Ultimates #1 is a striking debut issue that captures the magic of the fledgling universe, building out from the previous Ultimate books into a cutting thesis statement. Camp's writing center Tony Stark's jaded optimism ensures the book rockets forward on every page as a setback after setback occurs. Excuse my reading fumbles. That rational optimism functions as the fulcrum of conflict, as it clashes with the more with the more person-centric hope embodied by Captain America and the jaded pragmatism exhibited by Doom. Frigeri's artwork elevates those discussions by making every exposition sequence read like a propulsive action set piece. It's good art. It's not the best art on a planet, but I would agree that his art really does set the pace of the story. It's very good art. And I've seen Marvel, they have some books and they have artists in some of these books that really should probably be on other titles or start somewhere else. I would say X-Men Days of Future Past is a prime example of that. I don't think, did I buy another one? I don't think I bought another X-Men Days of Future Past after the last one I read. Of course, it's a reboot of that series. Okay, when the book does break into those action moments, the artwork matches that energy, putting a character-driven weight to the fights, grounding the book in specificity. The Ultimates #1 is a must-read debut issue that draws the reader in immediately and sets a rock solid foundation for the title. This is a first issue that will be studied for years as a masterclass in establishing stakes, world building, and making every moment feel grandiose without losing the people. This is a book that needs to be on every Marvel fan's pull list. Whether or not you're an Ultimate fan, the book is a lean, mean storytelling machine, proving that a first issue can lead with the best foot forward, even under the weight of a shared universe. A lot of glowing statements. I'm not going to say it's a must read, but I think in a time where Marvel has had so many missteps and so much of what they put out has been, I don't want to necessarily say trash, but it has been subpar for Marvel standard. So with that in mind, this book is very good comparatively. If you go back and compare it to those things, so I can see why they gave it a 10 out of 10. I'm just saying I'm not 100% sure that it should necessarily get a 10 out of 10. I will reserve the score that I give it until I read the worst score, and then I'll tell you what I think, what score I believe this book deserves. So now we're gonna go to the worst rating, 6.5 out of 10. So we're gonna see, this is from WeirdScienceMarvelComics.com. A lot of strange sites out here. So we already got the breakdown, the synopsis of what's going on. So I want to get the final thoughts from this right here. It says, final thoughts. The Ultimates #1 is a perfectly serviceable introduction to get readers on board with the Ultimates universe. The heroes, their mission, the stakes, and the timeline for Gary's art is rock solid, and Camp's script is technically thoroughly proficient, but the story fails to deliver any emotional beats that give the reader a reason to care. I don't know if I necessarily agree there, because in the beginning you see Hank Pym uh, um, going through some internal struggles. He's already received his device, and he has already read what he was supposed to be in this universe. The Maker has pretty much upended the catalyst for all of these people to become heroes. So there is no heroes. And what Tony Stark and his or Stark's son and his band of miscreants are doing is they're attempting to time travel and course correct some of this and give people the powers and the heroism they were supposed to have that was stolen, the future that was stolen from them by the Maker. So Hank Pym is struggling with this. And he's struggling with the fact that he becomes a hero, but some people close to him are hurt, and he doesn't know how to reconcile these things. And he's going back and forth on whether he really wants to be a hero or doesn't want to be a hero. And at the end of the book, it actually is an emotional lead up to him ultimately deciding, I have to do this. So I think there is some emotional heartstring being pulled. So I wouldn't necessarily go that hard on the book from that end. Says, we hope you found this article interesting. Come back, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, they gave it a 6.5 out of 10. I would say, if I'm going to judge this book, I'm going to say I would give Marvel's Ultimates #1 a solid 7. A solid 7. You won't be disappointed if you get the book understanding that it's a good read. If you go into this book expecting it to be the most mind-blowing read you've ever had, you'll be disappointed. Is it Ultimate Spider-Man levels of wow, I'm really impressed? Not necessarily, but it's not bad. It's not a terrible book. Worth the read if you're looking for something and you happen to be in your comic book shop and say, oh, they have the Ultimate. Should I read this? Go check it out. It's worth it.